Hello, welcome to Falcon Weekly here on BGSUFalcons.com. I'm Evan Pivnik, joined, as always, by the head coach of the Bowling Green Falcons, Chris Bergeron. Coach, after a Thanksgiving break, able to come back and go on the road against Northern Michigan and have a successful series against them.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You know, the break we felt came at a good time. It had been a bunch of weeks in a row, and that included September, which is hard because they're all hungry and want to play. In my history with Northern Michigan, going up there in particular, they're a very difficult team to play. They play well at home. I don't think anybody was anticipating a 5-5 tie on Friday night based on how both teams had defended to this half of the year. Both teams goaltended to this part of the year. It was one of those nights. It was kind of a weird night, both sides. It was bad bounces and pucks ended up in the net. And the disappointing part for us is we had a more than one lead, and one of the leads we had was a 2-goal lead, and we weren't able to hold on to that, which was disappointing. But to get a tie on the road and then respond the way we did Saturday, I was very happy with the weekend overall.
And after the Thanksgiving weekend, there's no real weekends off hockey-wise, and it's going to be the same way after these next 3 weeks. How does that prepare you for the second half of the season?
Well, I'm not sure it does prepare us for the second half of the season. I mean, it's a long season in hockey, in college, and the Christmas time break or the holiday break comes, and usually you get a couple, 3 weeks off, and that's the case for us. So hopefully it'll kind of recharge the battery, if you will, because we've got 10 weeks in a row. Hopefully we make the playoffs, which would be 11. We want to have more than that. So there's going to be a bunch of hockey the second half, and there's not going to be much time off. So that's on the coaches to make sure we're handling practice properly in terms of the amount of time on the ice. And it's up to the players to make sure this next 3 weeks gets them physically and mentally prepared for a long second half. And we've put ourselves in a position where the second half matters. We're playing for standings. We're playing for potential national tournament bids, those kind of things. And we haven't been in that position before. And how we act while we're in that position, we're going to find out. But we've been talking about the last couple of days, knowing that there's a break here. It's up to each individual within this program to make sure they're ready to go starting January 3rd.
To talk a little bit about this past week again against Northern Michigan, big weekend for the underclassmen again. How nice is it to see as the underclassmen are able to step up again?
It's really nice, and we've been talking about this from the beginning. They've all had a pretty good opportunity with the exception of one or two. And Ben Grinder's one that hasn't had a great opportunity in games. He earned the right to play on Friday night, and what he did with that opportunity is he took advantage of it, and good for him. He's a great kid who played the second night at Bemidji but didn't play very much, and then proceeded over the next 10 days, which included a weekend off, to work really, really hard and solidify himself in the lineup, and then had a great game Friday night. You know, Hawk has been contributing. He scored a couple of goals. It's nice to see those young people contributing, and never mind the way Chris Nell played on Saturday night. So the way it works in college hockey is you have to have freshmen contributing. In other sports, you can redshirt or whatever, but we have juniors for that, and we're getting freshmen a little bit older. It's not your typical 18-year-old every time. And there's expectations for those guys, and to this point, they've been able to contribute, and that's a good thing.
And with so many freshmen coming in for this upcoming for this season we're in
right
now, what do the freshmen have to make sure they solidify a spot in the lineup? What do you have to see in them?
We have to see an everyday consistency, which is the hardest part. They're juggling things that they've never juggled to this level before, obviously with school and hockey. And they've all been to high school and they've all played hockey, but never at this level and never together have they had to keep both of these things going and be on top of it. Because we don't expect just getting by. We don't expect okay. We expect greatness on a daily basis. And it's hard. So they've got to deal with us as coaches. They've got to deal with this new level of hockey. They've got to deal with this new level of academics. And what we expect them to do is look at it in small picture terms, meaning every day. Don't worry about tomorrow. Leave yesterday where it is and focus on today. And that's a lot easier said than it is done. But these guys have done a nice job. Again, we've recruited towards a certain type of person. And we feel like all these freshmen are that type of person. You put them in a situation where there's a structure, but there's expectations and there's accountability, and they'll find a way. And then that's what they seem to be doing, both on the ice and off.
And you touched on him before, another freshman, Chris Nell, 5-0 to be in his collegiate career. What type of a person is he in terms of when you see recruiting, when you go out and recruit a guy like that, and to see him have success on the ice? What does that mean to you?
It's no different than anybody else, because Chris plays goal doesn't mean we're looking for a different type of person. We're looking for a certain level of hockey player, right? Once we find that level, then we start to dig in. What kind of person is he? And when you spend time with Chris Nell and hear what type of person he is and what makes him tick every day, it's pretty impressive. So now you put him in a situation where there's an opportunity there, but there's competition. And what has happened is Chris has elevated his level because of the competition. I don't know how tested he was in Alabama, but he still shut him out. Clarkson, we've got a 4-goal lead, which kind of, they pushed really hard to get back to 5-4, but ultimately he shut the door. He looked a little uneasy at times in the third period of that Clarkson game. But since then, he has looked as calm and as collected and as top of his game as anybody we have. And arguably he was our best player at Ohio State. He played very well at home against Bemidji, which was his first home start, and then obviously this past weekend at Northern. I think what it was at Northern was he was really good early. When it was still a game, 0-0, 1-0, whatever it was, he made big saves. As the game went on, and it became less and less of a tight contest, I think he got tested less. But again, he looked calm, he looked focused. And not only is his confidence growing, but the players' confidence is growing when he's in the net. And that's something that takes time. They're confident when Tommy Burke's in there. They're growing confidence when Scholl's in there. Chris Nell, he was new, so it's hard for the guys to have instant confidence with him because they don't know. Now he's playing, and they're growing confidence in him when he's in the net. And that's a good thing. It's hard to measure that, but that's a real thing.
And Coach, lastly, before I let you go here, Winterfest.
Yeah.
These next few weeks off. Just how excited are you for the outdoor game, and looking forward to standing behind the bench?
Yeah, well, it's kind of come full circle, Evan. When we had a couple of fan fest things about Winterfest in the summer, and you see the outline of the rink and so on, but we're excited about the season. We weren't necessarily looking at January 3rd. Well, now that's our next game. We'll have a break here, and then we'll come back, and we'll have 5 days to prepare for an outdoor game with a very difficult opponent. And it's getting exciting. More and more people are talking about it. We'll actually have a chance to practice there January 2nd on the Friday, which should be a fun time for all of us. And it seems to be the trend in hockey to be playing these outdoor games. And it's one thing to watch it on television and enjoy it that way as a fan, but to be able to enjoy it as an actual participant, and a participant in our backyard, I think the whole thing's very exciting for us, and we're looking forward to it.
Well, Coach, I appreciate the time again, and enjoy the break, and we'll see you January 3rd.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.